What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics, and Pop Culture. Super excited today because I'm bringing you guys a fresh new video series that's going to last for weeks on in here. We're going to be looking at comic books by the decade and breaking down the top 10 comic books of each year. So, look, you guys know me, product of the 80s. I had to go with the best decade ever, first and foremost. This 10-part series is back to the 80s, and today we're looking at the top 10 comics released in 1980, folks. I will be dropping each year once a week. So we got 10 weeks to do the 80s, then we'll probably go into the 90s, etc., and we will be going back at least all the way to the 1960s. So again, very excited to start this journey with you all, folks. This isn't just for investment purposes. We're looking at some of the biggest comic books that were released each year. I'll be giving you guys release date, artists, writers, and fair market value on the market for any of those looking to possibly purchase these books or looking for investment books as well. Before we get into it, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, folks, please take some time to do so. And this video series is brought to you by popculturezone.com. I got to give a big, huge thank you to them. And before we get in to the 10 books from the awesome year 1980, we're going to take less than 60 seconds to talk really quick about popculturezone.com. Popculturezone.com is an online shop focusing on hot new comics, including exclusive and incentive variants, CGC graded comics, and tons of other inventory, including pop culture toys and other collectibles, all at low and competitive prices. PopCultureZone.com ships all over the US. And if you are buying raw comics, they offer flat rate shipping of only $4.99. That's right, $4.99. Absolute craziness, right? And there's no taxes included, excluding New Jersey. Pop Culture Zone is also on eBay, where they hold a 100% positive feedback rating with over 8,000 completed transactions for this year alone. Make sure to check out the link to their website below, as well as their eBay link, so be sure to give them a follow there as well. All right, everyone, remember to hit popculturezone.com up. They offer pressing services as well. Indeed, indeed. Okay, you guys ready for this? These are in order according to release date. So we're going to start with January of 1980. And what do we have? Uncanny XMen number 129. This is the first appearance of Kitty Pryde and Emma Frost, released in January of 1980 with writer Chris Claremont and artist John Byrne. Them two had a really good solid run on the Uncanny title. Cover price way back then, 42 years ago, was 40 cents. Boy, oh boy. Current average value right now for raw comics is $178. And remember, I tell you guys, when you look at raw values, it doesn't pertain to any grade. So you take in all the sales, add up the sales price, divide it by the quantity sold. Regardless of the price, you could find this book somewhere in that $178 range. Current 9.8 fair market value, $3,858. This obviously is a solid book for the purpose of these X-Men characters that were being introduced ever since we got the new team in Giant Size X-Men number 1. And this, again, like I said, Chris Claremont and John Byrne teaming up was an awesome, awesome time for X-Men and X-Men fans. All right, folks, moving on. Next book on the list, She-Hulk number 1, the first appearance of She-Hulk, her first solo title as well, obviously. This was released in February of 1980 with writer none other than Stan Lee. Yes, She-Hulk was Stan Lee's baby. Artist John Buscema, one of my definitely top 10, maybe top 6 or 7. Cover price on this one, 40 cents. Current average value, raw, $105 with the current 9.8 fair market value of $654. That's dropped a little bit. This did peak a little bit with the announcement of the show. Now that the shows came out, it's dipped down some, but still a very, very solid book. I'm personally really enjoying the show so far. And She-Hulk, again, this is a character created by Stan Lee, cover swipe homage to, her cousin Hulk. So this is definitely one of the biggest books of the year coming out of 1980. Next up, we have another X-Men book. This is Uncanny X-Men 130. First appearance of Dazzler, released in February of 1980 with the same creative team with Claremont and Byrne. Another awesome character that I think we could absolutely see in the MCU at some point. Cover price, another 40 center. Average fair market value for the raw copies, $99, with the current 9.8 fair market value of 1,843. This book has definitely boomed some. A lot of the X-Men books, just because of the hype of knowing that they're, coming to the MCU. We're in the middle of D23, and no real big X-Men news yet. Might not have that for a couple of years, but these books are still going strong. If you guys are looking to invest in X-Men books, my personal opinion is that I think there's deals to be had right now, but still be careful because a lot of them are kind of in high demand just because we know it's coming. So, like I always say, be patient, don't FOMO out, wait for the right time for your budget and just know what you want to collect, right? All right, 3 books down, 7 more to go, guys. But before we get to the next book, I want to remind everyone, if you're in need of comic book supplies, check out bcwsupplies.com. You can use the code JOURNOS to receive 10% off of your order. This code never expires. You can use it as many times as you want on every single order. That link is below, guys. And again, I heavily stand by BCW. I don't take on partnerships or sponsorships with anybody that I don't back up myself. So, need supplies, save some money, utilize that link in that code below. But moving on, next book is Avengers 196. This is the first full appearance of Taskmaster. Awesome, awesome cover with that green background. Released March of 1980. Writer Dave Michelini and artist none other than the legend George Perez. Rest in peace. Cover price 40 cents. Current average value 110. Current 9.8 fair market value 1220. This book is, dipped some, and then I think it's kind of gone back up some or stayed steady just after the Black Widow film. I recently picked up this book, I think last year, in a collection, so very happy to have it. A decent copy. I think it's probably at least somewhere around like a very fine. So it's a book that I wasn't on my radar for a long time just because of the price that it was sitting at. Happy to have found it in a collection. So awesome. I think iconic cover. Perez always doing his thing back in those days. And again, I think, look, we have, if you want to talk about speculation and investment, we just got the panel from D23 about the lineup for our Thunderbolts. Taskmaster's going to be there. We might see that affect this book a bit some now, knowing that that's coming down the pipeline. But again, be careful, guys. Be patient and just understand the risks if you're looking specifically for investment purposes. All right, next up, we got some DC, of course. DC Comics presents number 26. This is the first appearance of the new Teen Titans and their own little exclusive story that was in this book. And just to clarify, a lot of people think that, oh, well, this was a preview. It wasn't a preview of another book that was to be released at a later time. It was its own standalone story that was only published in this book. So yes, this is an official first appearance of all those characters. This was released July of 1980 with writer Marv Wolfman and Jim Starlin, and of course Jim Starlin on the art. Cover price 50 cents. So look, man, inflation was going crazy back in those times, late 70s, early 80s. So we're already seeing a 20%, more than a 20% jump here, 25% jump from 40 cents to 50 cents in the middle of 1980. We have a current average value right now sitting around $106, with the current 9.8 fair market value sitting at about $1,500. So solid book. And as I always like to say about DC books right now, they don't have all that crazy, MCU hype just because of the lackluster success of the DCEU. So hey, comic books have intrinsic value. Remember that, folks. comic books were valuable and were collectibles before we had live action. So I think that's a plus for DC books right now because they could be going under the radar, or if they ever get a DCEU or cinematic universe that actually, drives these properties home, we could see that start affecting these books similar to how the MCU has affected Marvel books. But again, I do think this is a very solid long-term investment. Just an awesome book to come out of the year 1980 though as well. My son loves Teen Titans, by the way. But moving on, we got some Spider-Man action. Amazing Spider-Man number 210, first appearance of Madam Web, released August of 1980. What a great team here. Denny O'Neil writing, and I love the Madam Web character and what she brought to the Spider Totem and the mythos of Spider-Man. And artist, some early John Romita Jr. stuff. Love his early stuff. Cover price 50 cents. Current average value is $118 with the current 9.8 fair market value sitting at about 1200. Again, I really love the Madam Web character. I don't know what Sony's going to do with the character and how that's going to affect the value, but I'm excited if this Madam Web film happens. Like I said, there's a deep mythos here with this character, and it can really open up the door to a lot of things. And if this character is used in the MCU as well, it can open up the door to, like I said, the Spider Totem and so many amazing characters that they can bring in through the multiverse. And there's great potential here. So, hey, would this book have been on the list maybe a few years back before like we had some Sony hype? I don't know, but still, it is definitely one of my favorite books, regardless of value. I do have I think is it a 9.0 graded copy of this book? I do believe so. All right, moving on, folks. We got some Star Wars action. This is Star Wars number 41, the first appearance of Yoda in cameo. The last page of the book, we see him standing there in the shadows coming out. He's about to train Luke. But awesome, awesome book to have. Released September of 1980 with writer Archie Goodwin and artist Al Williamson. Cover price 50 cents. Current average value $46 with the current 9.8 fair market value of 484. I recently got this one in a collection too, and was very, very happy to have this because I am, as a collector of runs, I'm collecting, my volume 1 Star Wars run. This was one of the bigger ones that I didn't have. Happy to have it, and I have a solid run. Like, I recently got a first print number 1 that I thought was totally out of my reach. It's a beat up copy, but I own it. But the next book on the list is this one, and I don't have this one. Star Wars 42. The first appearance of Boba Fett and the first full appearance of Yoda. And we know how iconic this book is. And of course, with the Boba Fett series on Disney Plus, this book has been doing real great things. Released September of 1980. Both of these books did come out in September. 41 at the beginning of the month, I think like on the 2nd or something of September, and this one was like on the 28th or something like that. Same writer, Archie Goodwin, with the same artist, Al Williamson, with a cover price of 50 cents, with a current average value of $182. Yep. And a 9.8 sitting at about 2,500. So I don't know what this book's going to do, guys. I mean, I think volume 1 of, the Book of Boba Fett, or series 1, was, some mixed reviews on it, mixed opinions. I don't think that's going to fare well for this book, like soaring just because of the hype. And I think a season 2 has been announced, if I remember correctly. But I think, the live action series is going to keep this book in the forefront of people's minds, which is going to keep demand up. I don't think it's going to do anything to drive this up crazily in the next couple of years. But look, all these Star Wars Volume 1 keys, long-term potential, absolutely. I think we're going to look back 10 years from now and look at these values and be like, wow. But again, that's just my humble opinion. I can't predict the future. Neither can you. Neither can no one. Moving on, though, folks. We got a couple more on the list. This is Moon Knight number 1. First appearance of Bushman, Khonshu, and origin of Moon Knight. And this is a great origin story. I think they did a good job in the TV show, really sticking to the origin. Very, very well, very well. This was released in November of 1980 with Ryder Doug, and I'm gonna mutilate this. Monch, Monch. I don't know what that's French or what it is. We got a young Bill Sienkiewicz working on the Moon Knight Volume 1, doing great work. Cover price 50 cents with the current average value of $60. This has dropped some as well, with the show coming and going. I enjoyed the show. I think there was things that they could have hit better on, that they kind of missed on, but overall, I thought it was a really good show. I thought Oscar Isaac did a freaking amazing job, amazing Emmy worthy acting performance in this show for sure. Current 9.8 fair market value sitting at $491. So still a very solid book. And I think, again, this is one, if you're looking to buy it, I'd be careful with it right now. I think it could drop a little more in the market. But hey, I mean, if we see Moon Knight show up in an Avengers movie or somewhere again, I mean, it could, or teaming up with Blade or who knows what, like, it could really push this book up again. So, but like I always say, be careful, be willing to negotiate with your sellers, and the right buy will come if you're really dedicated to hunting down a certain book. All right, folks. Next up and last book on the list today is another DC title, New Teen Titans #2. This is the first appearance of Deathstroke. To me, one of the most iconic DC villains, at least from my era, because DC. One thing about DC is they have so many iconic villains. From Lex Luthor to Batman's Rogues Gallery. I mean, and a lot of these characters coming up in the Golden Age. I think some of these later characters, you can even look at Lobo, and is like a anti-hero type, and Deathstroke. Uh, I think they're so underrated. I really do. And I think the values of these books have a lot of room for growth as well. And again, I'm not talking about movie or spec hype or anything. I'm just talking about these characters being iconic to the comic books. But first appearance of Deathstroke was released November 1980. We got Marv Wolfman. He did a lot of great stuff with Teen Titans back in the day. Artist, another just amazing George Perez cover art. You got Deathstroke standing in the background in the shadow. Cover price was 50 cents with the current average value of $116. Current 9.8 fair market value sitting at $1,084. So again, another awesome DC book. This is one that I do not own. I hope to own it one day. I am a huge fan of Deathstroke, like I said, and this would be an awesome book to have in my collection. We'll see. Maybe one day. So, folks, there it is. The top 10 released in 1980. Let me know what you guys think of the 10 book show today. 1981 will be coming up next week. But before we go, folks, I got to give a huge shout out to all my channel members, starting out with my Patreon channel members. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. If any of you are interested in getting extra perks and supporting the channel via Patreon, the link is below. It's only $3.99 a month. Thank you all. A big shout out to Matt, Trev, John Rowe, Nexus Cowboy, Comic Book Museum, Verified, Randall Tex, Justin, Jordan, X11, Shelby, Rich, Tony, Larry, Michael, Alvin, Fletch, Pedro, Peter, Sagi, Dan, and Simon. You guys are absolutely awesome. And of course, I can't forget all of my YouTube channel members. You guys get perks as well, and that's only $1.99 a month by clicking that join button below. So a big shout out to each and every one of my channel members: Jimmy, Sean, Paul, Shadow Rat, Remy, Tim, Frisbee, that Mountain Air, Card Bay, Sea Axe, Louis Logics, Christopher Johnson, Pickle Ric Flair, Jack B, Mikey, Goonish Lurker, Brandon, Nexus, Lisa, Buddy, Josh, Ariel Red, Matt Labno, Battle Delta, Comic Journey, X11, Joshua, E-Dub, Mick, Arthur, Simon, Comic Ozzy, Kaya B, Ghost Junk, Prime Time, Rupert, Luis, Tony, and Chris. Guys, this has been absolutely fun. I really hope you guys enjoyed this this first installment of this series. I can't wait to do more. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Subscribe if you aren't subscribed to the channel yet. And I'll see you guys next week with the top 10 of 1981. Be well. Until next time.